is music vocabulary for today's musician. We're going to explore what we mean by chord progressions. Literally, progressions of chords that are commonly used in most of our music. How can we narrow the playing field? Okay, there are so many chords out there.
Yeah, so fortunately for us, there may be hundreds of chords that we potentially have to learn, but there's only a few that we use in just about every piece. So it's really not that difficult to become pretty literate in terms of our harmonic vocabulary.
Okay, let's review the first chords that are available in major and minor keys from previous videos.
Right, when we stack up the notes of the major and minor scales, and we'll be using the harmonic minor for most of our modern minor chord progressions, we begin with a formula that we can memorize and apply to literally any key. The major key, the 1 chord is major, 2 chord is minor, 3 chord is minor, 4 chord is major, 5 chord is major / dominant 7th, the 6 chord is minor, and the 7th chord is diminished. And particularly in the harmonic minor scale, the 1 chord is minor, the 2 chord is diminished, the 3 chord is augmented, 4 chord is minor, the 5 chord is major or dominant 7th, the 6 chord is major, and the 7th chord is diminished. So now we're going to introduce a very important chord for literally all music. It's called the dominant 7th chord. The dominant chord is a chord based on the 5th note of the scale, either major or minor scales, and the dominant 7th chord has a major triad and then a minor 3rd stacked on top, or there's a minor 7 from the tonic to the top note. So the dominant 7th chord is a very, very important chord. We use it in all our music. So for the dominant 7th chord, we stack on top of a major chord, we stack another minor 3rd. Literally, this is the chord that returns us home. That is, we start in our home bass key, or our tonic, and then we eventually move and progress to the dominant 7th chord, and then that 7th note pulls us back to the 3 of the tonic chord. This is the simplest of what we call chord progressions, which do what? That is, progressions of chords that only have a couple of purposes in our music, and these primary purposes are, number 1, to build tension. All music achieves its satisfaction or fills its recipe by building and releasing tension. Harmonic tension is movement away from the tonic or home, and then its release is to return back to the tonic or the home. And 2, we support the melody as required for the story or emotion of the music.
All right, here's the really good news, Michael. All right, even though we have 7 chords that are built from major and minor scales, we often use only 3 or 4 of them. Okay, and these can be memorized, practiced in any key.
Yeah, and then eventually, when we practice moving from music from one key to another key, we learn the art of what we call transposition. And essentially this means we're comfortable with any chord in any key, and we can actually move around for any instrument or voice type, and that's the ultimate musician skill.
How do we do that?
Yeah, we can start with basic chord progressions. So let's start with the common chord progressions that basically have been used in music, Western music, since the 17th century.
Okay.
The first one is the tonic 1 chord to the subdominant 4 chord to the dominant 5/7 chord, and then back to the tonic. We will want to quickly learn to think and say, and then eventually regiment playing these chord progressions in every major and minor key, as follows. So this allows us to literally harmonize music in any key, and we can move it to any of the 30 keys. So here's an example. Mikkel, call out a key.
How about D major?
All right, so D major, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. The 1, 4, 5 chord would be D, G, A, and D. All right, try another key.
G flat major.
G flat major. G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, G flat. So the 1, 4, 5 chord progression would be G flat, C flat, D flat, and then G flat.
All right, the second progression we're going to want to learn is the 1, 2, 5, 1.
Yeah, so the 1, 2, 5, 7, 1 progression we use in both major and minor keys. So here's an example. 1 major, 2 minor, 5, 7, 1. So we can do that in both major and minor keys. We can also do this in minor key. 1, 2, 5, 7, in which case it's a minor 1. It's a diminished 2, and then it's a 5, 7.
All right, what this means is that once we've practiced these progressions in every major and minor key, we will have played all major chords in every key.
Yeah, we'll have played all major chords, all dominant 7th chords, all minor chords, and when we do the 1, 4, 5, 1 chord progression in minor key, we'll have played also all diminished chords. And so if you've played all the diminished chords, all the major chords, minor chords, and the dominant 7th chords, you've played literally whatever you need to go ahead and play in any key at any time.
That's a lot of chords.
That's a lot of chords. And we can move a piece from one key to another by simply transposing the music. Transposition is finding the numbered position of a chord in one key, that is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, and then finding the correlative note and chord in the new key. This again is called transposition.
All right, Michael, anything else?
Yeah, there's one other chord progression we should become familiar with, and that's the 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progression, which is used in a lot of popular music. You'll see it on YouTube. In fact, you can look up YouTube videos and you'll find hundreds of songs that have used this chord progression.
So once again, what are chord progressions?
A series of chords that both expand and release tension in any given piece of music.
Common chord progressions are?
The 1, 4, 5, 7, 1, the 1, 2, 5, 7, 1, and the 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progression. And learning to both think and play these chord progressions in any key virtually gives us the harmonic vocabulary to play, recognize, or understand chords in virtually any key and in almost any song.